Good day, everyone. Welcome to the ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud Masterclass 2025. This is the first ever episode that we're doing for ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud. Now, in this episode, we'll learn how you'll be able to effectively get started with the ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application. I'm Aditya Oswal, and I'm a product expert with the ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application. In this particular masterclass, we'll talk about how you can set up your basic information such as instance setting, sites, operational hours, organization roles, and how you'll be able to add different technicians, customers, and end users into the application. Then we'll check out how you'll be able to configure your mail server settings and add email filters. Then we'll see how you'll be able to customize the basic help desk configurations like category, priority, urgency, and all. And finally, we'll check out how you'll be able to set up the different automations, basic automations within ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud to cut short your manual tasks and streamline your IT service delivery. Then finally, we'll check out how you'll be able to track track the technician efforts with the help of Timesheets feature, which is a PSA feature along with Billings and resource management. Right. So in Billings, you'll be able to check out how you can generate invoices for the different services that you deliver. And with resource management, you'll be able to manage your technicians' workload and availability. Right. So now that that's out of the way, let's start today's session. Let's see how you'll be able to effectively get started with your MSP operations with ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Now, first up, we're going to talk about how we'll set up your instance and how you can customize the different basic settings for your in your application. Right. So I'm going to dive into the admin login of ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application. As an MSP, you'll be able to and as an MSP's IT admin, you'll be able to check out all the different modules that are available within ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application. And for your information, we're using the enterprise version of ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application, right? Which is why you will see all the different modules that are available within ServiceDesk Plus Cloud, ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application that are available over here. Right. So the moment I log in as an IT admin, I'll be able to check out the dashboard with neat and clean numbers related to my IT service desk, and I'll be able to check out my open tasks, open requests, and the quick numbers on items such as the tasks that are overdue, requests that are due today, and requests that are due this week, and so on. Right. Further, I can check out the different modules such as requests, where all the incoming tickets from different customers are arriving, right? So now talking about customers, so how do you onboard your customers into the application? But before all that, let's check out the setup and see how you can configure the instance configurations, right? So under the setup, you can find out the first option called instance configuration. The moment you click on that, you'll be able to see your organization's details that you entered while signing up into this application. Right. So after that, we can move on to the regions. Now, regions are the different geographical locations where you deliver your services. For instance, I've categorized certain regions for a fictional MSP called Zilker. Right. So they are providing services in following regions. Now, all the customers that they deliver services to would have different branches within their organization as well. Right. We can capture all those different branches for all these different customers under the sites option, right? So and in order to create different sites for each customers, you can simply go to the top where you'll be able to find all customers filter. You can select the particular customer for which you want to add a site, and you can add a new site for that customer. You can provide the site details such as time zone, language, and you can further add address and contact information. And after that, we arrive at something called related settings, right? So the related settings is a very important feature where you'll be able to copy all the details from your default site, right? For instance, just imagine that you've already created a default site and you want to capture the same details for this particular site as well. And what are these details? These details are departments, technicians or site associations, technician groups, different business rules and automations like service level agreement, and you want to use the exact same settings. So you can choose to select the copy from option, and you'll be able to uh, inherit those settings into this new site that we're creating. Further, you also have an option to refer certain settings, right? So you want certain settings to be customized fresh, and you want certain settings to be utilized same as the base site. So in that case, you'll be able to choose refer settings, and you'll be able to customize different departments, right? For example, you have you have a particular customer called Aventura Solutions, and they have their different sites available in different geographical locations, which are in different time zones as well, right? So in that case, and they also might have different departments. So what you can do, you can choose to choose the refer settings options, but let's say they are in a what happens if they are in a similar time zone. So in that case, you can choose the refer settings, and you'll be able to configure different departments for them, but you can choose the base site configuration for rest of the items, right? But let's say this is in a completely different time zone, so you can choose the custom settings, and you can completely customize a particular site for your customer's branch. Then further, you can also utilize the organization role option, where you'll be able to assign a role to this particular site, such as site in charge or a site manager, and you'll be able to associate a particular technician to this particular role. And the moment you save it, your sites would appear over here. And next up, we have operational hours, right? So operational hours is also a customer specific setting, right? So you can choose the customer for which you want to set up an operational hour, but you can also choose to select all customers and create it for all the customers directly, right? So for instance, I'm going to create a new operational hour, so I'm going to have to select a particular customer. The moment I select a customer, I can click on new and provide the name and description for the operational hour. Now, why do we have an option to create multiple operational hours, right? So that can be answered in a way that, for instance, there are certain situations, there are certain occasions where your organization might be working in a different type of operational hour. For instance, it's a Christmas week, and your organization would be overworking on that period, or your organization might not be as functional during that week. So what you can do is you can set up a separate operational hour for that particular time, and you'll be able to add those details over here, right? So once you provide your name and description and choose which sites this particular operational hour is applicable to, you'll be able to associate them over here. And then further, you'll be able to select whether your organization works around the clock or it follows a standard hour. Now, if your organization is functional around the clock, you can select this option, and it will show as 24 hours. However, if you follow a certain standard hour, you can customize that over here. And if you also provide certain break hours within the standard hours, so you can also capture that over here, right? So all these operational hours would then be taken into account when your technicians would be working on tickets and when the time logs would be running. So to capture the time accurately, these operational hours would be taken into account, right? And to ensure that service level agreements are also assigned accordingly. Then further, you can provide the different working days that your operational site that a particular site is operational within, right? So from, let's say, in general, companies are functional from Monday to Friday. However, let's say that this particular organization is applicable is also functional on a Saturday, right? But not all the Saturdays. On certain Saturdays, for instance, it's functional on every second Saturday or every last Saturday of the month. So how can you configure that? Well, you can simply select from the frequency options, where you can configure an exception. So you can select that your site would be functional on a second Saturday, for instance, that, and you'll be able to select the day of the week, right? So the moment you add that, you'll be able to select the custom hours, and you can also provide the break hours within that. So on that day, so all those operational hours can then be captured over here. And once you're done, you can click on save, and your operational hour would be set accordingly. Then we have something called holiday groups, where you can capture the different types of holidays that are available for different customer accounts. and different geographical locations. Then you can also set up the different departments. Again, so departments vary from site to site, from customer to customer, and even within your organization, right? So you can capture all these department details to ensure that you know exactly where the tickets are coming from, and you can deal with those incoming tickets accordingly, right? So in order to add a new department, simply click on new department, add the name of the department. You can also assign a department head over here, and you can also choose to assign an organization role such as department approver and department in charge. All these values could then be utilized when you're creating your different automations as well, right? So once you have added the departments, you can also assign a different currency that you that is available for your organization, and then further you can choose to configure the different organizational roles, right? So these organization roles can also be captured on a very customer site specific level as well, right? So the moment you choose your customer, you can customize the different C-suite members, the different site level, department level, and group level members, and these roles can then be associated to a particular user, like how we've done it over here, right? So let's say you have a particular role as CEO, so you can click on this option and choose a person who's the CEO, who's the current CEO of this organization, and you can associate that role over here. Now, why are roles important in Service Plus MSP Cloud? Because in certain cases where you'd be assigning a particular role to that automation or to a particular request, to a particular approval, for a particular approval, what will happen in that case when the CEO is changed, right? So in that case, you would have to, if you have just marked the person, so in that case, you would have to go and change the setting everywhere. However, if you have associated an organizational role, you'll only have to change the particular user once over here, and it'll be mapped across all the other different cases, right? So that way, you'll be able to set up the different organization roles. And now let's check out how you'll be able to bring in the different users into the application, right? So in order to do that, you can click on users and permissions. Under that, you'll be able to click on users, where you'll be able to add the different users such as your requesters and technicians under each of your customers, right? So for instance, I want to add users within Aventura Solutions. So I've selected that customer, and I can choose to select from this drop down whether I want to add a requester or a technician. Let's say if you want to add requesters, you can click on requesters. You can click on new requester to add a new requester, provide their personal details, contact information, their department details, their job title, and further their additional details. And you can even choose to enable self-service login. Now, to enable self-service login, you have to provide an email. So for example, I'm choosing a random email over here, but you can provide the necessary email, and you can choose to enable the self-service login. Once you provide that, your end user your requester would then be able to utilize the self-service portal utilizing which they'll be able to create the different requests and avail your IT services. Then further, you can choose to allow certain advanced permission and privileges and click on save. Once you click on save, your requesters would be added over here. Now, in ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application, we also have an option to import users, right? So adding a requester one by one in an organization with large sizes would be very difficult task. So you can choose to import your requester details via a CSV file and bulk import them into the application. Now, in the similar way, you can choose to add the different technicians into the application, right? So to add a technician, in the same way as requester, you can provide the personal details, contact information, an email, and you can choose to provide the cost per hour of your technicians. So based on that, you'll be able to charge, you'll be able to pay your technicians And then you'll be able to also capture those values within your different tickets that these technicians work on. And then you can capture your department details. You can associate this technician to different customers for whom this particular technician is going to work for. So let's say this technician will be associated to these three customers, and you can also choose to select specific sites of these customers where this technician would be working for. And further, you can associate technicians to groups. Now, this option was not available for requesters, but this is available over here. Now, this is available because technicians in your organizations might be divided into different groups to deal with different types of tickets that come into your MSP, right? Into your organization. So that way you can choose to assign different groups, such as for if you have a separate group for network incidents, you can choose to select those group if this particular technician is joining that location, that group, right? And then you can enable the login for this technician, and further you can select the different privileges or access permission for this technician into the ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application. Now, what do I mean by that, right? So if this technician is going to be the SD admin, is the main administrator of this application, you can choose to enable this administrator privileges, which means the technician would be able to check out all the modules, would be able to check out all the different settings and make changes everywhere. Now, if you want to enable site-based admin privileges, then you can choose this option. Or if you want to customize the privileges, if you want to customize these access permissions, you can choose to utilize the different roles that are available within the ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application, and you can simply choose to drag and drop and assign these roles to the technician. And once you have customized the access permission and advanced permissions, you can simply click on save and your technician would be added over here. Right, so that's how you can onboard the different technicians and users into the application. Now let's move on to the user groups. Now, what are user groups? User groups in ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application are the different groups that you can create for your end users, so that you can group them according to a particular criteria and ensure that certain items, such as request templates, can be assigned specifically for these users, right? So you can ensure that you can define a scope for, you can choose to limit a scope for certain things in ServiceDesk MSP application with the help of user groups. So in order to create a user group, you simply need to provide the name, description, and set filters, right? You can filter it based on the different departments that are available, different sites, different users, or even you can choose to group the different VIP users, right? So that way, for instance, if you want to group certain engineering department, and you want to create certain settings and certain templates only for engineering department, you can choose to create this user group and click on save. Once you do that, your technicians, your users would be grouped over here, and you'll be able to utilize this user group settings in the different options whenever you're configuring your automations and other items, right? So that way you have a user groups option, and then we have technician group option. Now, in the technician group, you'll be able to create and group your technicians based on their capabilities and based on the services that they're providing. So, for instance, I've already created an IT asset provisioning or a major incident management team or a network incidents team, right? So, similar way, you can click on new group, provide the name, provide the technician, the number of technicians that will be part of this group, and then you can choose to provide a description, and even you can choose to create a separate group email for each of these technician groups. So, for instance, if the end users have a specific request, they can directly send it to the group, or you can forward it to the particular group. And you can also choose to assign an organization role, such as group head for this technician group. And once you click on save, your technician groups would be visible over here. Right. So with that, we come to the end of the first part of today's presentation, right? So that's how you can customize your instance and add different customers and end users to your ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application. Now, this is what we saw. We saw how you could add customer sites, departments, organization roles, and so on. Now, moving on to the next next part of the presentation, which is mail server settings configuration. So here we'll see how you'll be able to utilize from the different types of mail server settings available within ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application, such as your basic email configurations, basic mail server configurations, your modern mail server configurations like Outlook or Microsoft 365, or we also have something called native email configurations, where you'll be able to utilize ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud's native mail server and choose to utilize that to convert your incoming emails into tickets within the ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application, right? So let's check out how that works. Now I'm going to dive into the setup again, and under the setup, under mail settings, we have mail server settings. So when I open that, I can see that a native mail settings is already configured. But let me quickly deactivate and show you how the different types of mail server settings can be configured, right? So let's say you want to utilize the basic mail server settings, so you can choose to switch to custom configuration, and here you'll be able to provide your incoming mail settings, server name, username, password, and your email type, which is in ServiceDesk Plus MSP application, we support POP, IMAP, POPs, and IMAP options for the email types. And you can, once you provide all these settings for your incoming and outgoing email settings, you'll be able to then start receiving and sending out emails to your end users, and start converting those incoming emails into tickets and start responding to those tickets with your outgoing email settings, right? But now let's say you want to utilize modern mail services such as Office 365 or Outlook. You can choose to do that from over here, right? So you can use your licenses and you can configure the Office 365 or Outlook email from here. Now, let's say you want to utilize a ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud's own native email service. So you can choose to activate this support email, right? So the moment you click on activate, it will be activated, and you can utilize this particular support address to send and receive emails to your application. Now, after that, once you have already utilized, you can choose the reply back name, and that name would be visible to your end users that the email is coming from, right? And further, you can choose to even customize these mail addresses, so that in order to customize that, you can add your new email over here, and the customized emails such as IT support at zilker.com. You can create that email over here, and you'll be able to verify the domain of that email, right? So once you verify that, you'll be able to utilize that your as that email as a reply to email, and with that you'll be able to respond to your end users, right? And further, we have all the emails that will be coming to this particular email address would can be found in the mailbox. So in the mailbox, you'll be able to find all your incoming email in the mailbox, and all the emails that are sent as responses can be seen in the sent tab, and all the emails that are deleted can be found in the trash, and all the filtered email can be found in this filtered mailbox. Now, what are the filtered emails? Let me quickly show you. So when you're creating this when you're utilizing the native mail service settings, you can choose to accept email from unknown users. However, if you don't choose to accept emails from unknown users, all the incoming mails from unknown users would be coming to the filtered option. Now, in the filter tab, you'll be able to select and verify whether these mails are legit or not, and you'll be able to select and process those emails and convert them into into IT tickets, and those will appear in the request module, right? And all your spam emails that you have, if you have configured different mail filters for spam emails, all those emails would appear in the spam box, right? And you'll be able to then check out all these spam emails and even choose to process if any email has come to spam by mistake. Now, how can you set up the mail filters to ensure that you get all the necessary emails only, and you don't get any fake emails or fake or any type of spam into your inbox? So you can utilize this a mail filter option where you can select a criteria such as sender to CC subject or description and define these conditions to ensure that any type of junk email does not arrive in your mailbox, right? So for example, if you know that a particular sender is a spammer, and so you can provide their email address over here and click on save. So now any request that comes via that email would then be dropped into the spam box of your mailbox, right? So that way you can utilize the different mail server setting, the different types of mail server setting options, such as your basic configuration, your ServiceDesk Plus MSP's Cloud's own native mail server, as well as you can choose to go with the modern mail servers. Now, on to the next part of our presentation, which is help desk customization, right? So we have different fields with different help desk fields when we are creating different tickets, right? And to collect these information, we can customize the different types of these fields, and that can be done under setup, right? So I'm back into the application. Under customization, we have an option called help desk. So under help desk, we can see that there are multiple tabs available over here, such as category, status, level, and all, right? So under category, you'll be able to categorize your incoming tickets so that you can deal with those tickets accordingly, right? It shouldn't be your request list view shouldn't be a chaos, right? So you can create the different category by clicking on new category, provide the name, description, assign a technician to this category if you want to. For example, there's a case where you want a particular technician only to deal with certain types of tickets of a particular category. So you can choose to assign a technician over here, and that technician would directly be assigned to all the tickets that are coming for this category, right? You can also choose to select a specific customers for which this category is applicable, and then you can associate these customers over here so that you can ensure that these categories are available for your and for your customers and users while creating the tickets, right? And once you're done, you can create a category. Now, ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud goes beyond that. We don't just allow you to create category, we also allow you to create the different subcategories, and under these subcategories, you can further create the different items as well, right? So there are three level of categorization that you can provide within the application to ensure that your end users can select the exact thing that they're looking for, exact service, the type of service that they're looking for, and your technicians would then be able to get the context of your ticket and provide the services, right? Similarly, we have an option such as status. So your ticket would be moving from different stages through the request resolution process, such as it will be in progress, it will be awaiting for more information from end user. So all those different types of statuses can be captured over here. And to create that, you'll be able to just provide name, description, and select whether it's an in progress or a completed type of status, and you can choose to save this. Similarly, we have a level option where you'll be able to gauge the level or the complexity of any incoming ticket. And in the mode, you'll be able to capture the mode, the way in which the ticket is coming from. For instance, if it came via email, you can mark it as email. You can also mark it as phone call and anything, right? So based on your organization's different modes that you utilize to capture the tickets, you'll be able to capture the modes. Then we have something called impact, right? So what level of impact a particular incident ticket that is coming to your application is for, right? So for example, if it affects the entire business, or if it affects a particular user only, so you can capture all those different types of impacts over here. And in a similar fashion, we have something called urgency, right? So the speed with which you want your this ticket to be resolved, the urgency of that can be captured over here. And we have something called priority, right? So here you'll be able to capture the different types of priorities that you choose to utilize to ensure that you're choosing the right tickets to deal with first, and the lower priority tickets later. So you can capture all those different priorities over here. And we have something called priority matrix in ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application, which helps you automatically prioritize tickets based on the urgency and impact of a ticket, right? So say if a ticket is if an incoming ticket has an impact marked as affects business, but it is given a low priority, it would be marked as a high priority in the uh, ticket, right? So if the urgency is low but it affects the business, it would still be marked as high priority based on the settings that I have done here. But your organization may require a certain different types of priority, so you can choose that and you can customize it accordingly, right? So you can ensure that when a ticket arrives to your mailbox, you know how soon you have to deal with this ticket, how much impact does this ticket have, and what level of prioritization would it require, right? So that is a basic automation that is available within the help desk customization. Then further, you can customize the different types of requests such as incident, service requests, and so on. Then we also have the different types of tasks that you can customize, different work logs that you can capture, such as, for instance, if your technician is working on a ticket and they provided certain overtime services, or they had traveled, so all those work logs can be captured over here. And then we can finally capture the closure codes. So for example, why a particular ticket was closed, so you can capture the different types of closure codes over here, and you can mark it when you're closing a particular ticket, right? And you can also customize the downtime type along with that. Now, these are the different help desk customizations that are available within the application. Now, further, we'll be able to move to the next part of today's session, which is customizing the different fundamental automations that are available within the ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application, right? These automations would simply help you quickly cut short your different manual tasks that you'd be doing, right? So items such as changing certain field values every single time when you see a ticket, or setting certain user expectations, right, and allowing your technicians to have a certain time frame to deal with tickets. And whenever any ticket comes in, you would not have to manually go through and assign a ticket to a particular technician, right? So all those things can be cut short, could be automated within ServiceDesk Plus MMC application. Now, how do we do that? Let's check it out. So under setup, under the automation option, you'll be able to find out the different automations that are available within the application, right? So let's start with business rules. Now, business rules are essentially criteria-based automations, right? And you can create business rules for incidents, for change, and for service requests. So for these three different modules, business rules can be created and customized. Now, what are these business rules, right? So in order to create these business rules, you'll be able to provide the name and description and select what rules, which does this rule apply to, whether requests or tasks. Then you can choose when to execute this rule, and you can choose to even take your operational hours into account when this rule is being executed, right? So you can choose to ensure that this rule is only applicable when it's within the operational hour, right? And once you have selected those options, you can finally define a criteria based on which a certain action will be performed, right? So what are these different criteria that are available? Well, all these different field parameters that are available within the request template can be utilized and can be used as a criteria. For instance, you want to automatically assign a different technician based on the level of a ticket, right? So let's say I'm so sorry, let's say a level of the ticket that came in is a tier 1 level. So you want all these tier 1 tickets to be utilized by a particular technician. So you can simply click on custom actions, and this is where you'll be able to perform a field update, or you can execute a custom function. So for now, I want to perform a field update, so I can select this option, and I can choose to update any of these ticket parameters. And I can, for instance, I wanted to update a technician over here, so I can select the technician, and I can select the right technician who should be working on those level of tickets, so that can be assigned automatically when a request comes in. based on this criteria. And once I save, all the tickets that will be coming for level 1, John would be able to directly John would be directly assigned to that, right? For example, I've also created certain business rules for software incidents. So if a category is software, a particular technician is added over here, and if a category is if a department is engineering, I want the priority to be high for that, right? So that way you can add different types of business rules and automate these small items, small manual tasks that you'd be doing manually, right? Now, next up, we have service level agreement. So service level agreements in ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud are utilized to essentially enforce on-time responses and resolutions for each client, right? So it sets expectations for your technicians as well as end users, as in your customers, that on during upon during which time a particular ticket would be dealt with, right? So we go to the automation. Under automation, we have service level agreements. Under service level agreements, you can choose to create different types of SLAs, right? So in order to create a new SLA, you can simply click on new, provide the name and description, provide the condition based on which a particular SLA would be applicable, or even you can choose to apply no condition over here. When you provide the required details, such as you want it to be applicable for a particular type of impact, I'm sorry, for example, you want it to be applicable for a certain type of customer. So let's say you want this SLA to be applicable for your Ventura Solutions customer, right? You want the customer, you want all the tickets that are incoming from Ventura Solutions to be dealt with in a specific time frame. So you can choose to add the hours at the time within which you want the tickets to be responded to. For example, I'm setting 1 hour limit over here, so that so that technicians have an idea that they have to respond to each ticket that is coming from Ventura Solutions should be responded to within 1 hour, and I want the tickets to be resolved within 6 hours, so that expectation would be again conveyed to the technicians, right? And then further, you can choose to take operational hours into account as well. For example, you want the tickets coming for this account to be dealt with irrespective of the operational hours, such as holidays or even weekends. You can choose to select these options. Then, to ensure that the tickets are dealt with accordingly and are and are resolved within time, you can choose to escalate these tickets based on the response and resolution time elapsed, right? So you can choose to provide one level of escalation for response time, and you can choose to provide up to 4 level of escalations for the resolution. That way, you'll be able to ensure that your ticket is dealt with within the time or effectively, right? So, and further, when you're escalating to, you can choose to escalate it to an organizational role, or you can directly escalate it to a particular technician as well. The benefit behind choosing an organization role, as I said in the beginning when we were talking about organization roles, that you can utilize this role over here, and the moment you add this role, you don't have to worry about changing a person over here in each and every setting, right? You can simply just change the account manager, for instance, and the user that is mapped to this account manager, and the issue would be escalated to the new user that is account manager now, right? You don't have to change the particular person in every setting. Then apart from that, you can also choose to notify certain stakeholders, and you can also choose to perform a field update, right? So we can choose to, let's say a particular ticket came in a medium priority, but a lot of time has passed and it's still not dealt with. So you can choose to provide a higher priority to that ticket, and the moment this SLA is escalated, right? So that way you can ensure that all the tickets are dealt with in the time, and your technicians are aware of the expectations for different customers, right? So with that, we come to the next automation, which is technician auto assign, right? So under settings, again under automation, you'll find something called technician auto assign. So this technician auto assign essentially allows you to automatically, as the name suggests, allows you to automatically assign a technician to the different incoming tickets. Right. So, what types of tickets? Well, you can choose to assign it only to the incidents or incidents and service requests. Then, on what basis does the application assigns these tickets? Right. So, you can choose to assign the tickets based on round robin method, where the next technician in line would get the next incoming ticket, or you can also choose to assign it based on load balancing method, where the technician with the minimum ticket load would be getting the next incoming ticket, right? And then further, you can also choose to utilize the Zia, which is our homegrown artificial intelligence, uh, and it will be suggesting the particular the particular technician who should be assigned to that ticket based on its learning, right? And then once you have selected these options, you can also choose to automatically assign a technician to a request based on the tickets when a ticket is created, edited, or created and edited both, right? For instance, if a ticket was assigned to a particular technician, but that technician marked it as unassigned because it was not related to that technician, it can be the another technician can be assigned automatically utilizing these options. Then you can also choose to ensure all your requests gets assigned, or you can also choose to unassign you can also choose to assign technicians to only the unassigned requests, right? So that way you'll be able to ensure that no ticket goes unnoticed and all the tickets are dealt with accordingly, right? And you can also choose to auto assign requests based on the availability of technician, right? So for example, a certain technician is not available today, but the ticket's due date is after a week, right? And you want only that technician to work on this ticket. So you can choose to select this option, and based on that, that technician would be assigned when the assigned automatically because based on its availability. Or you can also choose to assign based on the created date, right? So on that particular day, whichever technician is available based on the assignment model, the ticket would get assigned to that technician. Further, you can also choose to exclude certain technicians from this so that you can ensure that you can ensure that technicians which do not need to be dealing with certain types of tickets do not get assigned to those tickets as well, right? And you can choose to exclude certain types of requests as well based on the different ticket field criteria, and that way you'll be able to automatically assign technicians based on your organization's requirement very easily, right? And next we have something called notification rules. So notification rule automation is a very interesting feature where you'll be able to customize different types of notifications via email, via SMS notification, as well as a push notification. So this bell icon that you see over here is a push notification. So that way you'll be able to send in different types of notifications to your requester based on the different stages and statuses that your request is in. For example, if you want to notify a requester when a new request is created, you can choose to do so by clicking on these tick boxes based on the mode of in with which you want to notify them, right? So not just to requesters, you can further customize notifications for your technicians as well, and you can also choose to customize your approval related notification, right? And the approval would be notified whenever the criteria is matched, and you can further choose to customize these notifications for certain users and even for the followers of a ticket, right? So there may be a case where a particular technician is working on a ticket, but say there are other technicians who want to follow. For instance, the technician's manager would like to follow what's happening on that ticket. So all those followers would also be, you can also customize notification for those followers whenever the ticket would be updated, whenever technician replies to a request within that ticket, and so on. And further, all these notifications that are going out to each of these through each of these options, you can customize each and every single of these notification template by just clicking on this app, this a pencil sign, right? So if you click on it, you'll be able to check out and you'll be able to edit the subject. You'll be able to edit the message over here, and you can also choose to utilize the dollar option to pull in the variables from the ticket field, right? Automatically, you'll be able to select, for example, if you choose the requester or you choose the department, the right department would be fetched in for the person who the ticket this notification is going to, right? So all those the different types of notifications can be configured over here, right? And next up we have something called closure rules. So in closure rules, it's a very important feature when you want to capture all the necessary information within a ticket before a ticket gets closed, right? So you can utilize closure rules and ensure that right fields or the necessary fields are filled before a ticket is closed. For example, I have ensured that the mode, the priority, and the urgency of a ticket should be captured when a ticket is being closed, right? So if I choose these options, I will be able to close a particular ticket only when all these three items are filled in within a request, right? And then further, I can also choose to send out an acknowledgement to the end user before closing a ticket, or I can also choose to manually and automatically close the ticket, right? So if I want to enforce a manual closure, I can select this option, and if I want to enforce an automatic closure of a ticket, I can choose to close it after a set amount of time has passed on when the ticket is in the resolution state. And finally, I can also choose to close requests that are associated with the tasks and checklists. Right, so I can ensure that all the tasks are completed, and only then a ticket can be closed. Right, so all these closure rules can be utilized to ensure that your year-end requirements, your audits can be done, with all the transparency, and you can find out all the tickets, why every ticket was closed, and you can ensure that all the right information is captured, right? So that way we come to the end of the different automations, basic automations within ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application. And finally, we move on to the PSA side, PSA features within ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud application, right? So now next is the resource management. The resource management feature within ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud allows you to manage your availability of all your technicians, so that you can ensure that the technicians are not overloaded, and you also have a complete transparency of the different activities that your technicians, the different tasks that your technicians are working on, right? So where can I find this feature? I can go to the home tab. Under home tab, I can go to the tasks. So the different tasks that your technicians can be assigned within each of these requests, problems, changes, and different modules can be, or can also be seen over here, right? So in order to add a task, you can simply click on add, and you can simply add a task and even assign it to a technician from right over here. Now, once a task is created, you can check out the different tasks that are available within a particular customer, or with all the customers, right? For example, I want to check out all the unscheduled tasks or unassigned tasks over here, right? So I can simply select this option. I can select the duration within which I want to see that, and I can and all the different tasks that are available over here would show up, right? So for example, I want to check out the unscheduled tasks. So all the unscheduled tasks that are available for and are assigned to each of these technicians can be seen over here. Now, as I can see, a particular technician is overwhelmed with multiple tickets, whereas certain technicians have some space to work on, right? So I can choose simply drag and drop these tasks and assign it to a different technician. And then further, what I can do is I can also choose to provide the expectation on, as in when I want this particular task to be completed, by simply dragging in and dropping, by simply restricting this, and I can ensure that the tasks are dealt within this time frame. So technicians would have a clear idea on what the tasks that are assigned to them, and I can ensure that I can oversee all the workload of my technicians in a single view, right? So that way I can manage their availability. So that way you can utilize your resource management feature, and you can now further we'll check out how the timesheets within ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud can be utilized. Right. So now that you saw how you'll be able to manage your technicians and their the different tasks that they're working on, now you want to ensure that all the efforts that your technicians are putting in are also captured accurately, right? So you can utilize timesheets to effectively capture all your technicians' effort within the application, right? So that can be done in the timesheets module. So when I click on these three dots, I can find the timesheets feature over here, right? So in order to submit a timesheet, so these timesheet features essentially allows your technicians to provide a timesheet of their activities that they've done within a certain selected period, right? So for example, as a technician, I want to submit my timesheet for a particular duration, which is for a particular week. So I can simply select the week that I want to provide the timesheet for, and I want to submit it to my manager. And so I'll be able to select that and create it. So the timesheet would look something like this, where you can see the utilization level. You can check out the total operational hours and non-operational hours that I've worked in, and you can check out the different activities, the different requests that I've worked on, right? So on for example, this request is available over here because this particular technician has worked on one request. But if your technician has worked on multiple requests, all these requests would be listed over here along with the different time logs that a technician has added into this particular request, right? So that way you can ensure, and once the technician submits this timesheet to their manager, they'll be able to assess whether these times are accurately logged in or not. And you can either choose the manager can either choose to approve this timesheet, or a manager can choose to reject the timesheet and even provide a comment on why they're rejecting it. So based on the comments, technician would then be able to correct the time that they've logged over here, and they'll be able to resubmit it again, right? And how do the manager or the technician know when their request is submitted and when the timesheet when their timesheets are approved and not? Well, you can customize those notifications under the setup, right? So under setup, when you go under you'll be able to quickly find out the different timesheet settings under the automation, right? Under notification rules. So under notification rules that we just checked for requests, you can check out the same notification. You can configure the similar notification rules for your timesheets. So, or for you can select the different options such as notify a technician when a timesheet is approved, whether it's rejected, or and so on, based on the requirements. And you can select whether to notify via email or via push notification. And once you've selected that, you can click on save, and your technicians and the technicians manager would be notified accordingly, right? So that way you can utilize timesheets feature to ensure that you're logging accurate effort of your technicians for each of the requests, right? Now we come to the final item of today's presentation, which is the billings module within ServiceDesk Plus MSP, right? So using this billing module, you'll be able to quickly generate invoices for the services that you provide to your different clients across the different ITSM processes, right? So how to utilize this? Well, let me quickly dive into the application and show you how this works. Under the three dots, you'll be able to find the billings feature, right? So with this billing feature, you'll be able to go and click on generate a new bill, right? For example, I want to generate a bill for the Aventura Solutions client, right? So in order to do that, I can simply click on generate new bill, and I can select the modules that I want to generate this bill for. For example, I want to create the bill for all these modules, and I want to ensure that only approved timesheet work logs are taken into consideration in this bill, right? So that way you ensure that you're billing your client accurately, and you can select the duration within which you want to bill your client for. For instance, I want to select from June 12 to July 11, right? So I can simply create for this bill for this particular month. And the moment I click on this generate bill, I'll be able to see that a bill has appeared over here, and it is basically scheduled, right? The moment the bill is generated, I'll be able to download it from here, right? The moment I download it, the file would be appearing over here, and I can check out the bill that is created with all the incident and other charges and total charges that are captured over here, right? So that way you'll be able to generate bills for your customers based on the IT services that you provide to your customers. And with that, we come to the end of today's presentation. So a quick recap. So we saw how we were able to configure instance details such as sites, roles, user, and technician groups. How we were able to customize and bring in onboard your different customers into the application. Then we saw how you were able to customize the mail server settings in order to convert the incoming emails into tickets, utilizing mail server settings, utilizing modern mail server settings such as Microsoft 365 or Outlook, and even utilizing the ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud's native mail server settings, right? And then we saw how you could customize the various fields within the service desk MSP applications such as category, status, priority, and so on. And beyond that, we saw the different automations that we worked on. And finally, we went into the resource management, the timesheets and billings features, which are the PSA features which are very important for MSPs. And we saw how you'd be able to effectively manage your resources with resource management, how you'd be able to accurately track your technicians' efforts with timesheets, and how you'll be able to accurately bill your clients with the help of Billings feature. All right. If you want to learn more about ServiceDesk Plus MSP Cloud, you can always choose to go to our support. And if you need any support for configuring your application, you can always go to the support portal, and you can find out our contact details and relevant material. And you can also go to our resources to learn more about ServiceDesk Plus MSP application. And you can further look out our pit stop community, where customers such as you come together, engage in vibrant conversations, and help us improve our product, which is Services MSP Cloud, right? And if you have any feedback, please feel free to drop it at hello@servicedeskplus.com. And with that, we come to the end of today's session. So I thank you all for joining today's session. This is Aditya signing off.